Hello and welcome to An Image is Worth 1,000 Words. My name is Rob, and don't forget to check out the rest of my blog posts on my website at robhextall.com. So I'm going to make a cup of tea, and this is a tea bag that quite possibly has lots of microfibers in it. But hey, who cares? I love tea! And here is this week's question. How did microplastics get everywhere? Before you start, check that you understand this vocabulary. Pause the video to make sure that you understand everything. At first glance, it's not obvious what this week's photo could be, but these tiny microfibers are what tea bags are made of. When I took a close look at this photo that I had taken with a macro lens, it almost made me think twice about making my daily cups of tea with tea bags rather than loose tea leaves. Almost. Basically, I'm too lazy to change, even if I did recently discover that some tea bags can release microfibers into your cuppa. Microplastics are popping up everywhere, from the very deepest depths of our oceans to all the way up in the clouds. Animals and humans have ingested them for decades, but the consequences are only now becoming apparent. Microplastics have been found in human blood, in the tissues of our hearts and lungs, in our stools, and even more worryingly, in breast milk and placentas. We have been poisoning ourselves and the rest of the planet without realizing it. Plastic is ubiquitous. Humans produce over 400 million tons of it every year, and less than 10% of it is recycled. Because plastic waste doesn't break down easily, it can exist in the environment for hundreds of years, becoming smaller and smaller and ending up in our food, our bodies, and the environment. It's still unclear exactly how harmful these tiny particles are to humans, but recent research has shown that the accumulation of microplastics in our bodies can more than quadruple the risk of death from heart attacks and strokes, as well as induce reproductive and developmental toxicity. So how have microplastics become so ubiquitous? Firstly, the breakdown of larger plastics. The improper disposal of plastic waste, including littering and dumping, contributes significantly to the presence of microplastics in the environment. Plastics do not biodegrade like organic materials. Instead, they undergo a process called photodegradation, where exposure to sunlight breaks them down into smaller and smaller pieces over time. These tiny plastic particles, known as microplastics, can then easily disperse and spread to even the most remote and unexpected places. Secondly, microbeads in personal care products. Until recently, many personal care products such as exfoliating scrubs and toothpaste contained tiny plastic particles known as microbeads. These microbeads were designed to provide abrasion, but were too small to be filtered out by wastewater treatment plants. Consequently, they entered water systems and accumulated in the environment. Thirdly, fibers from synthetic clothing. Synthetic fibers such as polyester and nylon shed microplastic particles when clothing items are washed. These microfibers are then flushed into wastewater systems and eventually make their way into rivers, lakes, and oceans. They have even been found in sea salt, tap water, and beer. So, how can we reduce our exposure to microplastics? Firstly, we should avoid heating anything in plastic or consuming hot liquid that has come into contact with plastic. This includes microwaving ready-to-heat products and food in Tupperware. Secondly, tap water generally has less microplastics than bottled water. Other recommendations include buying clothes and furniture made of natural fabrics, not buying anything that is wrapped in plastic, and also regularly vacuuming floors and furniture to get rid of all the dust where microplastics and trace metals such as lead, zinc, cadmium and arsenic can accumulate. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a bit lazy, so I think it's time to buy a robot vacuum cleaner. Let's chat about the picture and those ideas. Number 1. Describe the picture in as much detail as possible. Number 2. How much of your domestic rubbish is plastic? Do you recycle all of it? Number 3. What fabrics are your clothes made of? Do you have a favorite fabric? Number 4. Do you think becoming a vegetarian or vegan would reduce your intake of microplastics? Number 5. Do you already follow some of the recommendations in the last paragraph? And here's a quick activity for you. Think about all the synthetic fibers and plastic that are in your home. Describe how you could reduce them. Thank you for watching. I hope this was useful. Have a great day, a great week, and an absolutely fabulous weekend. Bye.